Hello, my name is Varon, and I collaborated with Ginelle and Sahil in our study of the Borobudur Temple in Indonesia. And after everything we've learned, we certainly feel enlightened.
Hi, I'm Ginelle, and we will first talk about the structure and iconography of the temple. Sahil will start this topic off.
Hey, I'm Sahil. So this temple has 3 upper terraces, which were open, circular, and has 72 stupas on them. Each stupa contains a sculpture of Buddha sitting down with various mudras or hand gestures. The sculptures were sitting within a latticework made of stone. When you stand on the bottom of the temple, the stupas aren't visible. This symbolizes how higher stages of the Buddhist path cannot be envisioned when someone is only beginning it. In order to reach those stages, the Eightfold Path must be followed. Varon, do you know any other details about the structure of the Borobudur?
Of course. In total, there were 504 statues of Buddha on this temple. Also, there are 1,460 stone reliefs on the wall and railings in the first 4 galleries of the relief sculptures. These relief sculptures depicted Buddhist teachings, or Dharma, and Buddhist stories about bodhisattvas and Buddha himself. Stories from Buddhist scriptures called sutras are also on the walls, which could be paired with our own illustrations. Pretty cool stuff, huh?
Yeah. Also, at the very top of the temple, there exists a large central stupa, which represents the enlightened mind, the final destination of Buddhism. Interestingly enough, near the foundation of the temple, there are also another 160 relief sculptures, but they were covered up by stone buttresses that were constructed later to support the main structure. Anything else, Sahil?
The temple is used as a shrine and reliquary. It also represents the sacred Mount Meru, which is supposedly at the center of the universe. Their overall plan is to represent a 3-dimensional mandala, which is a diagram of the cosmos, which is a shape typically used by the devotees to help with meditation. The main stupa is at the center, therefore becoming the center of the cosmos, where a devotee can become one with the 5 transcendental Buddhas of formless realm. In order to access this enlightenment, devotees must enter from the outside of the mandala and work their way to the center. There are also open passageways.
Oh yeah! Sorry to interrupt, but also, devotees would circumambulate around these passageways and slowly escalate around the structure. As devotees follow the relief sculptures and the scripts, they are guided into a higher state of consciousness. The sculptures start out pretty mundane, but then, as you continue on the path, they become deeper by imparting spiritual lessons.
This temple also embodies the idea of moving from a profane space to a sacred space, or more specifically, moving from darkness into the light. This symbolizes the movement of a person as one ascends to higher realms of being. You would start with the narratives of karma on the foot of the structure, beginning in the Kamadhatu realm. This is a realm characterized by earthly desire. Then, as you move throughout the temple, you'd eventually reach the Rupadhatu, or the form realm, which is when a person is more conscious of life through Buddhism. This realm is within a gallery of reliefs. Finally, the 3rd realm is reached, Arupadhatu, which is a realm of formlessness, when you get to the stupa-crowned open terraces and finally reach the light at the top, with the light probably symbolizing enlightenment itself.
Okay, we get it. Now to the important part. The rulers of the Sailendra dynasty created this temple as a monument for Buddha. This same dynasty also was attributed to a great shift in culture due to how Mahayana Buddhism was introduced. This type of Buddhism was commonly shown in how many temples and monuments built under the rule of this dynasty.
That's exactly right, Sahil. This temple was built in the midst of many cultural changes that were depicted through artistic expressions, the Borobudur Temple being one of them. The specific temple was commissioned by the ruler of the Sailendra dynasty and was made for the Buddhist people to worship. The temple also displays the immense power and wealth of the commissioner. This temple is huge. No ordinary person could afford this endeavor.
The Borobudur Temple also represents multiple Buddhist beliefs within its design. One belief is that the nature of existence is transient and always changing. The circumambulation reflects this and the path to enlightenment. Like a flowing river that is never the same, this constant circular movement reminds the meditating people of this impermanence. There are multiple texts and narratives on the walls that also refer to the concept of a path to follow in order to reach the ultimate goal of enlightenment, which, as said before, is symbolized by the main stupa.
The style of this temple is influenced by Indian Gupta and post-Gupta artworks, which can be seen in the Buddha statues. This style originated in India and eventually spread to the rest of Asia. This temple symbolizes a temple mountain that, relating back to the point I made earlier, was based off of Mount Meru. This Mount Meru is part of Hindu mythology. This shows how Hinduism influenced this temple's design. Wait, guys, I just realized this piece is similar to the Parthenon.
The Parthenon? That's quite a stretch there, Sahil, but I do see where you're coming from. Well, one similarity can be seen in the iconography. Both of them contain multiple relief sculptures that are dedicated to a certain religious figure. The Parthenon's frieze and pediment sculptures portray concepts and tales of Athena's life. On the pediments, the event of her birth and the event of her competition with Poseidon can be seen. On the outer frieze, there are relief sculptures of battles because she is the goddess of military victory.
As stated before, the Borobudur Temple also contains relief sculptures of the Buddha's life and of stories that portray spiritual lessons that are in accordance with Buddhist beliefs. However, there are contrasts within this too. One obvious one is that these sculptures were created for very different religions. The Parthenon was created for the polytheistic religion of ancient Greece, which was dedicated solely for Athena. On the other hand, the Borobudur Temple was created for the non-theistic Buddhism, which was with an emphasis on portraying Buddha. In fact, Buddhism isn't a religion at all in the strictest sense of the word. It's more of a way of life and a system of beliefs rather than worshipping a supernatural being.
Well, we also have to consider the patrons. We all agree that both temples had difficult patrons to research, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not much information on any of their patrons. However, they both show power of the patron by being a gigantic symbol that inspires awe. They both require a lot of money and manpower to be built, therefore showing that whoever asked to have such temples built was very wealthy and had enough power to have people do what they wanted.
Also, the two temples also only have iconography relating to their specific beliefs and the culture they follow. The Borobudur Temple focuses on depicting Buddhist and Javanese ideas through the use of a mandala, Buddhas with mudras, in Buddhist stories. The Parthenon depicts classical Greek deities and their religious beliefs. The portrayal of Nike, Poseidon, and other gods and goddesses show how the ancient Greeks believed in multiple gods.
The pediment sculptures of Athena competing with Poseidon also show how, in their mythology, their deities often interact with humans in very tangible ways. This is all very different, seeing as how in Buddhism there's not really a god to follow. Also, their transcendental Buddhas are more a part of the cosmos than specific physical beings.
Also, they have different ways of worship. Worship in the Parthenon is different. You don't even get to step foot in the temple. After all, you don't just invade the home of a goddess. Instead, there was probably an altar outside for people to practice their religion. They didn't have to do a symbolic walk around the Axis Mundi and get all tired, from what I hear.
Wow, Sahil. That was awful. Moving on. Both temples have cross-cultural influences. However, those influences come from different sources because they exist in very different areas of the world. The Borobudur Temple, which is located in Indonesia, has a lot of Indian influence, as seen in the art style and the idea of a sacred mountain, which is characteristic of Hinduism.
It's pretty obvious that Greece and Indonesia are two very distinct places, geographically. On the other hand, the Parthenon seems to show some Egyptian influence instead.
The Parthenon was designed with a classical Greek style. However, in order to reach that point, they took a lot from the Egyptians. The Greeks borrowed many ideas from the Egyptian sculpture and possibly architecture, but eventually they put in their own ideas too. However, the influence can still be seen in such pieces like the Pan-Athenaic procession frieze, where the figures are on the same ground line and have a pretty flat perspective.
That's all for the Borobudur Temple.
Wow, good job, guys.
Good job to you too.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you guys felt as enlightened as Buddha, and as we did after doing this project.